Okay, so hopefully, as just say, most of you probably know me already, but I'm Adam. I'm a consultant here, and as Giles said, we're going to have a look at some of the new features that were released in Business Central 2013 Wave 1 earlier this year, and just kind of carry on from where my colleague Amanda left off the other day. So I'm going to look to cover off 3 to 4 different parts of the new features today, and we'll see how far we get with those. So hopefully you can all see my screen, and it's running. So the first thing we're going to take a look at then is around kind of year-end processing in the system, and one of the new features that Microsoft have brought in around there. So what we now have, if I go to the chart of accounts and we'll select one of our accounts here, is the ability to review the entries in your system for year-end closing. So one of the things that you may have to do in year ending is go through your entries to make sure they were posted in the system correctly. Now, at the moment, that's a very visual process, and Microsoft are trying to introduce functionality that's gonna help you from that point of view. So what you now have on an account card is a review policy box down here. Now, this gives you 3 different options. So you can set this individually per account. It doesn't have to be done as a system on a whole. So you can choose not to review it. That's kind of as it is at the moment, so we're going to ignore that. You can choose to allow review, which will mean you can go in and review the entries, but what it means is you don't have to kind of match it up and make sure everything matches up and okay. And then you've got your one at the end, which is review and match balance, and that's basically saying that you have to make your debit and credit entries match before it will allow you to finish the review of the entries. So there's 2 different ways you can get into your review once this is set up. From your chart of accounts list here, you can go through to process and review entries. Otherwise, if you want to go into the ledger entries themselves, you have the same review button up here. And what that will do when I click that button there is bring you up a list of entries that you want to review. So I can see here that I have, let's open up a little bit more. I've already reviewed a couple of these entries, and what it will do is it will put the person who's reviewed it and what time they reviewed it. It will also mark it as reviewed here, so you don't have people reviewing the same entries. Once you've had a look at the entry and you're happy with it, you can set it as reviewed up the top here. And you can do this in a number of levels. If you're then not happy with it, you can unreview it down there. As I say, it can be done at an individual level, or it can be done as a whole. The idea being it just gives you that visual clue that somebody's been through the system, reviewed it, and everything is posted correctly before you go and close your years. So that's point 1. Next, we're going to have a look at master data syncing. So for any of you guys that are working with Business Central and have multiple companies, or indeed use test companies within the system, sometimes it can be a little bit difficult to transfer data between those companies. And in order to help this, Microsoft have brought in this new master data management setup page here. So previously, you will have had to ask us as your partner to create a new company for you. And then if you wanted to move any data across, such as your chart of accounts, your customers, your suppliers, anything like that, then it's usually something we'd have to do for you. Now, Microsoft have brought in this functionality to hopefully make it so you can self-serve with this process and you don't have to ask us to do it. And it should hopefully make life a little bit easier for you. So what you have to do with the master data is select the source company you want to get the data from. So in this instance, I've got a master company, and I'm going to be moving data from the master company and into my Cronus UK demo company up here. To do this, you have to select the source and you have to click enable on the data synchronization here. One of the good features on this, however, is that you don't have to move all the data through from one company to another. You can be as defined as you want to be. And to do that, you can set your synchronization tables here. You'll get a brief message up here, which I'll quickly put on so you can read, but it's just saying that these are the tables and fields that you're going to synchronize across there. And I'll open this up a little bit more so you can see it. So these are the tables that are set as standard to synchronize, and you'll see on the left hand side they're set to status enabled. Now you might not want to pull all of this data across. I know a lot of the time when you're creating new companies, it's for basic data, so you might not want to move your contacts, and at any point these can be disabled on here. If you are moving the data across and you don't want to move all the data across, you can also set filters on the table to bring through only certain data that belongs to there. And in the same way, you can set which fields are enabled and disabled on the sync as well. So you can sync it at a table level, at a field level, and you can also filter the data so it only pulls through exactly what you wanted to do at that point. So once you're happy, you can start an initial synchronization of data there, and you can also set it up so that it will continue to sync the data across between the two companies. That's a choice you can make. If you want to continue it so that any kind of new customers that you make get pulled across, you can do that. Otherwise, you can have it as a straight off one-off sync, and then you're happy and done. It's all processed using the job queue. For the guys of you that know that's been in the system for a little while, and it's just a way to automatically process data between the two. So again, very manageable. You can turn it on and off, but will be a very quick way to move data from a master company across to any new company that you're creating. Okay. So now I'm going to move on and show you some of the new functionality around AI that Microsoft are bringing in with, for those of you who have heard it before, it's called Copilot. And it's obviously with AI being quite big at the moment, it's one of the things that Microsoft are really pushing to integrate to. So one of the new features they've brought in is the ability to create items using Copilot. So using integrated AI to help you and speed up the process of creating items in the system. Now, this feature at the moment is in preview mode, which means that for those of you that are on Business Central SaaS environments and on the latest version, you have to come into feature management here to enable it for you. And once that's done, it should appear in your system. So if I now go to my item list, what you'll see when I click new is you now have a new option on here. So you can continue doing your standard new items, or you can create from a picture. If I do that, and I will select an image, what the AI is going to do is analyze that picture for you to try and set some data very quickly that you don't have to change. So it's recognized in this case that it is a table based on that image, and it's put it in that category there. And it's put a template on there for me as well. It knows it's an item. You can have multiple templates set up in the system, and that's going to pull through default data for you. What I can also do while I'm here is just set my attributes. So we'll go brown. And for this one, we'll call it a oak table, and we'll click OK. So that's created me a new item based on the information that's come in here. It's given my attributes down here, and it's tried to pop a description on, which in this case we don't like too much. So we'll call this a small oak coffee table. So that's kind of the first aspect of the Copilot integration. The second aspect is on the right here where we have our marketing text. So if you guys integrate with a website or you have your own catalogs, sometimes the information we have in the description here isn't quite enough to populate onto the website, and you have to then employ marketing people to go through your items, create a description for the website that sounds nice. With Copilot, we can do this automatically in the system. So what that will do, as I've just clicked that button, is based on the information that is generated, try and bring up a description for you that you can then use for your marketing text. So that's quickly done that for me. And I'm sure you can read that, but root yourself in style for a small oak coffee table. And what it's done is it's given you a brief description that you can use. You can come in here, you can edit it, you can change the styles if you want to and make it more favorable for your marketing guys. But one of the things you can do on here, if I select more settings, is change the tone at which it's creating this information. So by default, it's set to one of those lovely Microsoft inspiring words, but you do have a few other choices here. So if you'd rather it to be more formal, casual, more upbeat or creative, then you can click that and it will change the wording for you. So if I click casual on here and I create my draft again, there you go. You should see that that's updated my text on there, and it's changed the way that it's giving you that information to be in a more casual tone. If I go into formal and we'll do the same thing again, it will change that and make it more formal for you guys. So it gives you those options just to change that as you're going through. There are more and more Copilot features coming out in the newest releases as well, so we will come back and look at those in a little bit more detail. And while we've got a couple of minutes left, I just want to show you one more new feature in the system. So if I go into a transfer order and we will take a look at this one that I created earlier. So let's try and find a new one. No, we'll create a new one. It'll make it easier for us. So in multiple parts of the system at the moment, you have the ability to unship. So if you create a sales order, you can unship the item once it's been shipped, if for any instance it's been shipped by accident. What you couldn't do until this version is do that for any transfers. So if you've transferred it from one location to another location, a different building, but you've done that by accident, you don't have the ability to unship that. So Microsoft have brought in this new feature that allows you to do that for transfer orders. So I'm going to bring through my desk and we'll quickly just create a transfer for this. And I'll show you how it works. So we go process, create warehouse shipment. For those of you that don't use it, we're using the advanced kind of warehousing within Business Central to do this as well, which is why we have separate warehouse documents and pics. So what we should see here is my new pic, and I'll quickly register that. Perfect, and then I will post my shipment. All being well, that goes through and says, there we go, your ship lines have been posted. And now on my transfer, we've got a quantity shipped here. So previously, once that's done, there is no way to undo that. You'd have had to fully post your transfer off and then do a transfer back for that item to get it back where you want it to be. Now we have the ability to go into our document, go to line, and we can undo that shipment. And what that will do on here is reverse that line. So this message is just telling you that actually it's been moved to a ship bin. So if we're undoing it, you're going to have to go in and move that as well. And there we go. So we now have our reversing line in there. And if we go back to our transfer order, we've now got a quantity ship rather than a quantity shipped.